everyone, it's Karen with Yes Please PaperCrafts, and today I'm going to be doing a tutorial with Cricut Design Space. Now this will be just the first of many tutorials to come, and so I'm going to be numbering these, and this one is course 201 and it's called Embellishments. I will also be doing a course 101 which will be the basics, and I have not put any videos out for that course yet, but they will be coming soon. I just am wanting to start with something that I recently did. This was something I did for a project I was working on, and I thought that this would be a good time to do this particular topic or lesson. And so in lesson 1, we're going to be talking about using the print and cut in Cricut to create embellishments for your scrapbooking. And this is broken up into 4 parts. And I did that because I'm going to put links in the description below where you can jump to a particular part in this video. So if you don't want to watch the entire tutorial, you can just go to the part that you're interested in. So this is going to be 4 parts, and the first part is searching for print and cut images. And let's go ahead and get started. So I was working on a scrapbook layout, and I needed to use a stash item that started with each letter of my first name. And because my name is Karen, I had to use the letter K, and I was having a really hard time trying to find something in my craft room that started with the letter K. And I was thinking about different words like kite and key. I just recently did a layout with kites, and so I didn't really want to use a kite. And so I thought, well, I'll use a key. But I looked through stickers and paper, and I couldn't find anything in my craft room that had an image of a key. So I thought about using my Cricut, and I've been wanting to use my Cricut more for scrapbooking. And I thought, well, I'm just going to use my Cricut, and I know I'll be able to find a key. So let's switch over to Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to show you how you can search for an image, and we're going to be searching for print and cut images. Okay, so I've already got this project created in Cricut, so now we just need to go and get an image. So to do that, we're going to go over here to the left hand side of the screen where we have this toolbar, and I'm going to click on Images. Now that's going to bring up all of the images available in Cricut. Now Cricut has over 100,000 images, so it could be a little bit overwhelming to find the one that you're looking for. And so they have included a search feature up here at the top of the screen where you can go and type in any word and search for that. So we're going to go ahead and type in the word key, and then I'm going to click on this magnifying glass, and that is going to filter the results of the search by the word key. It's going to give us everything that's related to key, including keys and also quotes that have the word key in them. Also, it will bring up things like locks, and so we'll just get a whole bunch of different images. So I was looking for an image that had a little bit of detail, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time actually making this, and so I want to find something that I can just print and cut. And if you're just scrolling through here, it's kind of hard to tell which ones of these images are like just cut files and which ones are print and cut. So one of the things that you can do is we can go back up here to this search bar, and we can click on filter. That will give us a whole bunch of different things that we can filter our search by. And I'm just going to go down here under type, and I'm going to click on this one that says printables. Now that will filter our search results and give us only the keys that are printable. Well, now I only have these 6 images, and there's only 3 keys here. And all 3 of these keys are very ornate, and they're not going to work for my project. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, but there's something else you can do to make a print and cut file in Cricut. And so let me go ahead back up here, and I'm going to turn this filter off. I'm going to take away this printable so that it shows me all the images again. And on this filter screen, there's also another filter called layers. You can filter by single layer or multi-layer. And if you filter by single layer, you get a lot of really simple images that are going to cut out one piece. You don't have to glue anything together. And I kind of looked through this, but there wasn't anything here that I really liked. So I'm going to pick, instead of single layer, I'm going to pick multi-layer. And that's going to give us some keys that have a little bit more detail. Now I really like this key right here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that and then insert it into my project. Okay, now that we have our key, we need to do a little bit more to it before we turn it into a print and cut. And so that brings us to part 2 of this tutorial, color matching your project. So for this challenge, I needed to also use this color combo as my inspiration for my layout, in addition to using the stash item for each letter of my first name. And so I thought, wouldn't this be cool if I could take the colors here and use them on my key? So if you have an image that has multiple layers, you can see what layers are available by going over to the right hand side of the design space and looking at the layers panel over here. And you can see that we have 2 different layers for this key. There's one layer that has light pink, that is the smaller pieces, and then the second layer is the key itself. And so if we want to change the color of this image, we can change all the layers, or we can change a single layer by first clicking on the layer and then going up here to where we see the line type. And right now our line type is set to cut, which we're going to leave that alone. And then next to that is the color that is currently selected. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to bring up a box here that shows us all the colors in our project. And then under that will be all the colors available that you can use to change your image. So if we wanted to, we could make this key green or red or purple. And as you pick each one of those little boxes, it changes the color. Now if you want a color other than the one shown here, you can click on Advanced, and then you get this color picker that you can use to pick anywhere on this little box, and it will change the color of that key. And if you want to use this rainbow slider down here, you can pick anything here from green or blue or red. And so it gives you a lot of choices, pretty much unlimited choices for what color you can choose for your image. But I want to go a little bit further because I want to match the colors in my challenge. And so I want to use the third option, which is down here in this box. You can actually type in a hex code for a specific color. But first we have to figure out what colors or what hex codes we're going to be using. So to do that, I'm going to be using a free app. And I'm using a Windows 10 computer, and there is a free color picker available in the Microsoft Store, and that's what we're going to be using. So if you're using a Mac computer, you can actually use a free utility that's already available on your Mac called the Digital Color Meter. Now I will leave links in the description below to both of those tools. Whether you have the Windows or the Mac, you should be able to use a color picker tool to figure out the hex code for whatever color you would want to match your project. So if you do not already have this free color picker, you're going to need to install it to your Windows computer. This doesn't come with Microsoft Windows, but you can get it free from the Microsoft Store. So I have included a link in the description below, and if you click on that link, it will take you to this page. Now what you'll need to do is go down here under where it says free. There's this big blue button that says Get. You want to click on that button, and that is going to open up the Microsoft Store. Now you may also see this dialog that says this site is trying to open Microsoft Store, and you might need to click Open in order to get the store to open. You may or may not see that, so just in case you do, it might pop up there. You just need to click on Open. Now once you get to the Microsoft Store, it's going to bring up this screen, and you're going to want to click on this big blue button that says Install, and that will download and install this free color picker to your computer. This is a fairly quick installation because it's a very small app, and once it's finished installing, you should see a message down here where you can either launch the free color picker or pin it to start, and I'm going to just click Pin to Start so that it shows up on my Start menu. Now if you click over here on the window Start menu, you will see the free color picker right here on the start menu, but it also shows up under recently added. And if you can't find it there, you can look under the list of applications under the letter F, and you should see it here. Now, we want to go ahead and click on this free color picker to open it up. And you're going to get three choices. You can pick colors from an image on your clipboard. You can pick from a file, from an image file, or you can capture a screen and pick from that. So I'm going to be using an image file because I have one that I downloaded for the challenge. And so I'm going to click on File, and then I'm just going to go to where I have that file stored, which is under Document Design Team Challenge for March. And this is the What's My Challenge. And you're going to see here that I have an image of this challenge. Now that I have this image here, I can go ahead and pick the different colors that I want to use for my project. So if I wanted to pick this dark pink color, I can just click on that and it will save that color here. And I can go ahead and copy this or write it down, and you're actually going to put this hex code into Cricut Design Space, and that will give you this exact color of pink. So I'm going to go ahead and write down these hex codes for the different colors that I want to use, and then we're going to go back to Cricut Design Space and customize our key. Okay, so we're back in Cricut Design Space, and I want to go ahead and change the color of the key to the dark pink, and then the accent pieces on this key to the light pink. So we're going to go ahead and click on this layer to make sure we have the key selected. Click on this little box to open up the color selection. Click on Advanced, and then we're going to go down here, and I'm going to get rid of the color that's in there so that I can enter in my custom pink color. So one of the things that I like to do is to type these hex codes or copy them into a document or a notepad so that I can remember what the colors are. So as I'm working with the project, I can always go back and re-enter those hex codes into Cricut, you know, just in case I want to change more things in Cricut to match the colors. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this Word document that I had created, which has all of my colors. Now I like to use some shortcut keys, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight this color hex code, and I'm going to hit Control and C. That is going to copy that into the clipboard so that when I go back to the Cricut Design Space, I can just hit Control and V, V as in Victor, and it will paste that in to the Cricut Design Space. So there I have the color pink, the dark color pink. Now I want to change the other parts of this key to use the lighter color pink. So we're going to go up here and click on that layer, then click on the color box to open up this dialog. And I'm going to go back to my Word document here, and I'm going to copy the light pink color, hitting Control C, and then go back here and getting rid of that, and then Control V to paste it in. So now I have a key that exactly matches the color challenge, and I'm going to want to do 3 of these keys in different colors. So I'm going to duplicate it, but first I will select the key, and that selects all the layers. So I want to duplicate the entire key, and I'm going to click on Duplicate up here, and I'm going to duplicate it twice. I'm going to make a blue key, a pink key, and a yellow key. So as I work with changing the colors of these different keys, I wanted to mention a few things that is going to help you with using this color picker in Cricut, because I had a little bit of trouble with it when I was trying to put in these hex codes. And what I found was that if I tried to use the backspace key on my keyboard, that it wouldn't allow me to delete the hex code that was in there, but it would just keep picking different hex codes. And I think basically what it was doing was, as I hit the delete key, it would replace it with the hex code that was right next to that one in the color picker. And I'm not exactly sure why Cricut does that, But in order to delete the code that's in there, what I ended up doing was selecting it with my mouse and then hitting the delete key. So don't use the backspace key, use your delete key. So I also wanted to mention that although you can see all of the colors in your project in the color picker in Cricut Design Space, as soon as you change the color to something else, that will go away. And so that's one of the other reasons why I like to have it written down someplace. So now that we have used all of the custom colors to color our keys, we're going to go to part 3, turning an image into a printing cut. Okay, so before I share with you how to turn these keys into printing cuts, let's take a look at what this project would look like if we made it as a cut file. So I'm going to go up here and click on Make It, and that's going to take me to this screen in Cricut Design Space, which shows you all of the mats required to cut out this project. And you can see here that you would need 6 mats, and you would need to load 6 different pattern papers or colored cardstocks in order to make just these 3 keys. So that's one of the reasons why I really love using printables, because you can make embellishments for your scrapbook layout so much quicker just by printing out an image and then having your Cricut cut it out for you. So let's go ahead and cancel this, and I will show you how we can turn each one of these keys into a printing cut. So first what you need to do is click on the image, and we'll start off with this pink key, and then we're going to go down here to the bottom right part of Cricut Design Space where we have this toolbar, and we're going to click on this icon that says flatten, and that is going to turn our cut image into a printing cut. Now, one of the most important things to remember when trying to turn an image into a printing cut is that you have to have more than one layer. So if you have this key selected, but then you select only one of the layers, you will notice that the flattened image is no longer available and it's grayed out. So if you're trying to flatten something and you can't click on flatten, it may be because you don't have an image selected that has multiple layers, or you have only one layer selected. So make sure that you click on the entire image, and then you can click on flatten to flatten out that image. And then the last one we'll do here is the blue key. We click on the image and then we click flatten. So it's so easy to turn this into a printing cut. And you can see here, now that we have done that, that each one of these keys has been flattened, and it says cut and print. So now that we have turned these images into printing cuts, let's see how Cricut would make this project. I'm going to go up here and click on Make It again, and we can see now that Cricut only will require us to print out these images on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper or cardstock. Then we just need to take that piece of paper and put it onto our mat and cut these out. Now, I do realize once I'm looking at my project here that I forgot to resize my key, and I probably should have done that before I duplicated the key, but it's pretty easy to resize an image, so let's go ahead and just do that really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and click on cancel, and I will click on this pink key, and I want to resize it to be 3 inches tall. So I'm going to go up here to the height and change that to 3 and press enter, and that will resize my key. I'm just going to click on the yellow one and do the same thing here. Make that 3, and then again for the blue key. So there's one more embellishment that I want to make for this project. Because when I was searching for keys in Cricut, I came across this really cute quote, and I thought this would be perfect for my layout. And so I'm going to be adding that quote here and turning it into an embellishment, a print and cut embellishment that we can use on the layout. Now this takes us to the next part, which is part 4, combining shapes to create new images. So we're going to be combining an image and a shape to make our new embellishment. So the first thing we need to do is go over to images and find the quote. Now this is going to take us back to the list of all the images, and it's already filtered by the word key because Cricut did remember that was the last thing we searched for. So if we scroll down, we should see the quote, and it's this one right here. It says, "Crafting is the key to my heart." And I thought that would be perfect because I'm going to be using two pictures that I took at a crop last year, and I just thought that that would be so cute to add this to my layout. So I'm going to select this image and then click Insert Image, and that will insert it into my project. Now I'm going to just go ahead and drag this over so that it's not on top of those keys. So you can see here that this image has 4 layers. It has the word crafting in blue, and then the word key, and then it has the words is the and to my, and then this last part is the word heart. And if we were to cut this out right now and click on Make It, it would show us that we would have to use 4 additional mats with 4 different colors. So we're going to go ahead and click on Cancel because I really don't want to do that. If we cut out all these little bitty letters, that would be so difficult to glue onto my project. And so I think that this would be so cute to add, but I don't want to spend that much time cutting all this out and gluing it all together. Now I could have just flattened this image and did a print and cut that way, but I really don't think I would like how the Cricut would cut around it. So I wanted to try to make this into something that looked like a label, so I'm going to add a shape behind this. So to add a shape in Cricut Design Space, you would need to go over to this toolbar on the left hand side of the screen and click on Shapes, and that will show you all the shapes available in Cricut. Now you will notice that there is no shape here that's a rectangle, and also there's not one for ovals, and that's because you can make a rectangle with a square and you can make an oval from a circle. So we're going to click on Circle and add a circle because I do want to put an oval behind this quote because I think that that shape is kind of similar to the shape that the quote is already in. So we need to make this bigger, and I'm going to click down here at these double arrows and drag my mouse, and you can see that it makes the circle bigger and I can make the circle smaller, but other than that I can't really change the width or the height of this particular shape. To make this into an oval, we first have to click on this lock to unlock the image so that we can change the height and the width independently. So once we do that, you'll notice that this actually changes and it gives us 4 arrows, which means that we can change the height and width of the shape independently, and you can turn it into an oval. Now I really can't see if this is a good size oval for my quote, so I want to put this oval behind the quote so that I can get an idea whether or not this is going to work. And also when I turn it into a print and cut, I need the quote to be in the front. So one of the things that you can do in Cricut Design Space is you can move things either backwards or forwards, and we need to move this oval backwards so that it moves to the back underneath the quote. And to do that, we're just going to have this image selected, and then we're going to click on Arrange and move backwards, and that will put the oval behind the quote. So now that the quote is in the front, we can see that it is not aligned on top of that oval. And a really quick and easy way to align 2 objects in Cricut is to use the alignment menu. But first we have to make sure that both the oval shape and the image that has the quote are selected. To do that, we're going to click on the screen up here above the image, and we're going to drag our mouse down, and everything that's in this blue box is going to be selected. Now I'm going to let go of the mouse, and it's going to select both the oval and the quote. So then we can go up here to the Align menu, and we can click on Center, and that's going to center the quote on top of that oval. Okay, so the last thing that we want to do before we turn this into a print and cut is to change the color of the oval. So I'm going to go over here and click on this layer, which is the circle, because I only want to change that one oval shape. And then I'm going to go up here to where we can change the color. I'm going to click on this little box, and I want to change the color to black. Now I did, when I was making my project before, I actually did this image with black, and I also used a light pink. And you can see that you can actually try out different colors to see how your image would look before you flatten it. And I really like the black. And when I printed this out, it was so pretty because it almost looked like a chalkboard. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that black. So before we flatten this image and turn it into a print and cut, I want to change the color for each of the words in this quote. So we'll change the word crafting to yellow, and then the word key will be blue, and the rest of that part in the middle will also be blue. And then I will change the word heart to the light pink. And I just wanted to make sure that when I printed this out, it was going to match my project perfectly. Now that we have all of our colors, I'm going to select this image, and so that I can get all of the different layers and the oval. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on flatten, and that's going to turn that into a print and cut. Now let's see how this would look if we make it. So I'm going to click on the Make It button, and that's going to take us to this screen where we can see that it would print this out. And I think it's a little big though, so we probably need to resize this. So let's go ahead and click on Cancel. And I'm going to resize this, and I think I want it to be about 3 inches tall. So I'm going to go ahead and change the height to 3. And press enter, and I think that'll be a better size for my project. Now that made the image about 4.5 inches wide by 3 inches tall. So I do want to make multiple copies of the keys, and so the next thing I'm going to do is to duplicate these keys. I want to make 3 copies of each key because I'm going to layer these and make like a faux chipboard, because I want them to be a little bit sturdier, because I'm going to take all 3 of these keys and I'm going to use some ribbon to tie them together. So I'm going to just go ahead and duplicate each key twice, and then if we click on Make It, we can see that all 9 of the keys plus that label will fit on this one piece of cardstock. Now there is a limitation in Cricut. You can only do a print and cut that is 9 1/4 inches tall by 6 3/4 inches wide. So I could have just changed the number of copies, but that would have also duplicated the label or the quote 3 times, and I only wanted that to print out once. So let's go ahead and click on this Continue button here at the bottom, and that will take us to this next screen. Now I don't have my Cricut Maker on, so I'm not going to select the device. But if you wanted to here, you can go ahead and select your Cricut. But I do want to share with you the print menu here. So I'm going to click on print. So after you select your machine, it's going to ask you to send your image to the printer. And you can send it to the printer, or you can click on this link over here and let it know that you've already printed it. Because sometimes you might have printed multiple copies, and if you want to just keep cutting it out, you can just skip the step of printing it by clicking on that link. We're going to go ahead and click on Send to Printer, which is going to bring up the print setup. And here is where you're going to pick which printer you want it to go to. You can also print multiple copies of your image if you want to cut it out multiple times. And then this next option to add the bleed, that is by default turned on. And I think that's probably better to leave that turned on. And what that is for is that when this prints out, the ink will bleed a little bit past the image, so that when Cricut cuts this out, in case the machine is off slightly, it will not leave any white edges. And this next one, which is Use System Dialog, I always like to select that, because if you do, it's going to pop up your printer dialog where you can change your printer settings before you print this. So then the next thing we're going to do here is click on Print, and if you have Use System Dialog checked, it will pop that up. And I like to do that because I do want to change my printer settings. So you can see here I can just click in Preferences. Now this might look different depending on the printer you have selected, but if I click on preferences, I can change things like the media type. I'm going to change to cardstock. And then I also want to make sure that my print quality is set to high and that my paper source is the rear tray. And there's a lot of different things you can change here, but those are the things that I need to do in order to print cardstock on my printer. And then once I'm finished with that, I'm going to just click OK. And then to print this, you would click on Print. Now I've already made this project and I'm not going to make it again. So instead of printing, I'm just going to click on Cancel. But if you were making this project, you would just print it out and then you would put the paper on your Cricut mat and then just press the little Cricut when it highlights and then just cut it out. So from this point on, it's very simple. Just follow the steps on your screen. So I did create a layout with these embellishments, and I have a scrapbook process video that I also created, and I will leave a link in the description below to that video if you're interested in watching the process for how I created this layout. And I did print out the little quote in both black and also light pink, but I thought with the rest of the papers and embellishments that I selected for my layout that the one with the black background looked much better. And so I also did print out the different keys. And I'm going to share with you here the process of how I made these into faux chipboard. And it's a very simple thing to do, and especially using the Cricut, it's so easy because you can always cut out extra pieces. And I'm just going to use this art glitter glue, and I'm going to just glue these together. And I just think that this is so much fun, and it just really adds a lot of dimension and makes your embellishments look a lot more substantial than just using a single sheet of cardstock. And I knew that I wanted to do this because I did want to make these kind of look like they were like a key ring, and I'm going to use some ribbon to tie these together. And I thought that if I just used a single piece of cardstock, that I might have trouble with getting the ribbon to really look right with all three of these keys if they were just flimsy. So I think it really worked out well to cut these out 3 times and turn this into some faux chipboard. And I really love the embellishments that I made, and it really does make me want to make even more embellishments with my Cricut. It was so much fun to do, and I was so excited to be able to share this with you guys. And I hope you will be inspired to use your Cricut more when scrapbooking. So here are some close-ups of my layout, and I just want to say thank you for watching, and hopefully I will be doing many more tutorials, so stay tuned. So if you found this video tutorial helpful, please give this video a like so that lets me know that people are liking this content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so that you get notified the next time I put out a new video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.